Our world is powered by billions of smart devices that generate an incredible amount of data and value. This phenomenon is called the Internet of Things, or IoT. From smart homes and wearables to connected vehicles and renewable energy, the IoT is impacting everyone and everything. But today, the multi-trillion-dollar IoT industry is owned by centralized corporations that control our devices, mine our data, and earn huge profits with no value returned to users. IoTeX is here to change the status quo and build a future that empowers users, not corporations. We envision a world where everyday people can own and control their devices, as well as the data and value they generate. A vision we call the Internet of Trusted Things. By connecting the physical and digital worlds, IoTeX allows us to secure the data from billions of smart devices and extract value from it with next-gen Dapps. Join IoTeX as we democratize access to the new machine economy and return power to the people. IoTeX is more than just a blockchain. It's a full-stack platform that enables trusted data from trusted devices for use in trusted applications. The IoTeX platform combines innovations in blockchain, identity, oracles, and hardware to make real-world data available to blockchain Dapps for the first time. Secure hardware captures and signs real-world data that anyone can verify and trust. Real-world data oracles bring this verifiable data to the blockchain in a trusted manner. Decentralized identity enables humans and devices to own their data as digital assets. And blockchain enables users to earn and trade digital assets across the ecosystem of IoTeX Dapps. The IoTeX blockchain is lightning fast and EVM compatible, allowing builders to port over Solidity-based Dapps and tokens in minutes and enjoy ultra-low fees and 5-second block times with instant finality. Governed by a global network of delegates, IoTeX is the trusted and decentralized foundation to power your next big idea. The IoTeX network is home to an ecosystem of Dapps, tokens, and services that connect the physical and digital worlds. By bringing real-world data to blockchain, IoTeX enables an entirely new category of use cases where users can earn digital assets based on their real-world data and actions. All types of machines can be registered to IoTeX and deliver facts about the real world to the blockchain, a concept we call proof of anything. From proof of activity to fuel decentralized healthcare, to proof of safety to settle insurance contracts, to proof of green energy to fuel renewable energy marketplaces. Real-world data will change everything for blockchain and spark a new era of innovation on IoTeX. With IoTeX, we can unlock liquidity for real-world assets and create brand new digital assets that will flow freely across our network of on-chain applications, information markets, and mining farms. And thanks to cross-chain bridges to Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and other top blockchains, our digital assets will interoperate with the blockchain universe for endless possibilities. Join our global community of pioneers and help shape the future decentralized economy. Welcome to IoTeX.
All right, that was exciting. So excited to be here. So now, welcome, and thank you for joining us. We have an amazing panel. Well, not panel, it's a fireside chat, so it means it's different from panel where it's going to be more relaxed fashion. We're going to talk about different things, all things Dapps, all things IoT, what future holds for us. So I am thrilled to have amazing speakers here. And Patrick Barile, I believe, he is one of the first employees of DappRadar, and I would say amazing story how he started. So I'll let you go into it later on, but he was a number 3 employee there. Literally saw it from the beginning, growing into the current, I don't know if I can call it conglomerate, but definitely a leader in the dev space. And we have Raullen Chai, who's head of IoTeX, and really brings amazing vision of what future holds for any type of machines, DeFi, and things. So I will let you introduce each other yourself. A little bit about me. I'm a moderator. My name is Art Malkov, and I actually run one of the largest blockchain groups in New York, and I'll be moderating this panel. So let's start. Without further ado, I'll start with Patrick. Patrick, please tell us, yourself and about DappRadar and your vision, and really starting with yourself first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Pleasure. Thanks for having me. Really excited being on this fireside chat. So I stumbled into the crypto space about 3-4 years ago. Met up with my current colleagues at DappRadar about 3 years ago. Started helping them out. And, back in the days with just the three of us, and today we are a company of about 50 employees. We've been growing very fast. Back in the days, we started tracking the first decentralized apps, stuff like CryptoKitties or the first decentralized exchanges. And we saw, those were the days where CryptoKitties had 50, 100, 200 daily active users. Today, that has completely changed. We see thousands, if not even 100,000s of active users. So, yeah, for example, here you can see our DeFi rankings. If you go up and you click on NFTs, you can see a little bit further up. Yeah, on the left, exactly, bingo. That there you'll see the. We are tracking the various different NFT, non-fungible tokens collections, which have made a massive splash in the media, the CryptoPunks, the Bored Apes, and so forth. All those NFT collections which have raked up lots of value. So, back in the days, that was a very idealistic and very small setup. And now, over the last 3 years, it has grown massively into a pretty serious business where billions and billions of value have been locked up. And pretty excited where we are at, because we're seeing this just as another transitional phase. We expect other new industries to come into the blockchain space very soon, and potentially, pretty sure that we'll see a 10-fold, even 100-fold growth over the next 1 or 2 years.
Absolutely. And the space is so rapid. It grows so rapidly that it is fascinating towards expansion. Because I remember, like you mentioned, 2016, 17. I remember we were in the midst of all this hypothetical. What can happen? How can it happen? Right? I remember I was at Consensus 2017. It's early days, and so people like Banana Coin. Well, thankfully that didn't happen, but a lot of more real stuff have happened. And Raullen, you can tell us about real stuff. so please introduce yourself, and maybe early days as well, and what and where you are right now.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. So this is Raullen, CEO and co-founder of IoTeX. Yeah, so a little bit background about myself. I got into Bitcoin blockchain really early when I was doing my PhD on cryptography in Canada, actually. So that's where I got into this blockchain, but Bitcoin, because it's a fascinating idea, right? So it's a world-changing idea. So that's why I got in very early. And then after that, graduation, then I joined Google, stayed there for almost 5 years, leading a team, doing lots of security stuff. And basically I found one of this cloud product for Google, GCP. So which still earns Google like $10 million per year, so which is very good. And after that, I joined Uber, because Uber was expanding like crazy at that time, basically leading the cryptography team to do lots of privacy, again, security stuff. 2017 is a year basically that changed my life. So me and 2 other co-founders, we started IoTeX. Same as you guys, Patrick. We started with 3, and now we're like 40-50 each people, kind of spread around the world. Very decentralized. I would say half of the team, not half, maybe 40% of the team is on the West Coast, another 40% on the East Coast, 20% maybe Europe and Asia combined. So still, like, the mission for IoTeX never changed. We want to use blockchain as an underlying mechanism to connecting the world to the metaverse, to the digital world. So definitely, like, we're on track. I think for this year, we have done like quite a few things in this year, especially like the ecosystem, which I think start kind of grow in about 4 or 5 months ago, and now we're seeing like 20, 30-ish of projects already launching and running on the IoTeX. So this is massive. And internally, we can still see like the long pipeline projects that's going to be launched, right? Of course, we will put them on DappRadar as well. So yeah, so our relationship with DappRadar starts with perhaps 5 years back, right? So I think we talk with a bunch of folks on the DappRadar team, which looks like our vision is really aligned, basically trying to bring this decentralized world to like the normal people, the normal users, so they can interpret and understand. Yeah, so I'm so proud. Like IoTeX is also on DappRadar right now, and we are definitely like sending you guys more great projects.
Absolutely, and it's the awesome part about actually IoTeX just launched this Monday on DappRadar, and first blockchain game, right, Raullen, about Star Crazy launched on that day as well, and it had from 950 projects, I think it jumped right to 35, right? So it's pretty good for a first day.
Yeah.
So I want to dive in a little more into, right, what do you see the difference in terms of before and after? Like, how big is Dapps space is? And this is a question for more Patrick, but I would say, what is your vision? How do you see the space growing further? And Raullen, you can later on chime in more on the IoT side. So Patrick, please share your thoughts.
Yeah, so you can measure the space in value, or you can measure the space in users, number of users. So if you look at number of users, I would say we're somewhere around 1 million active wallets on a daily basis, roughly, right now, across all the different protocols that we track, and we have a couple of large ones like so Ethereum is certainly large. We started tracking Polygon or Binance Smart Chain. So those are a couple of the larger ones. Especially, we've seen a couple of entrants this year with very low transaction fees that have extended, enlarged this market. So that's from a number of users perspective. Then from a value perspective, you can measure the size of this market. So how much money, how much value is locked up, and basically since last year, lots of the value has come from the DeFi space, decentralized finance. You could say I would say about $100 billion, which is very impressive, is locked up in this space. What we have seen now since a couple of months, more from a consumer perspective, coming in all these non-fungible tokens, the NFTs, all these funny pictures, as some people say, and they, even though they're just funny pictures, they have built a value of around $10 billion. So, and this is growing quite dramatically. So, I mean, it's just 10% at this point in time compared to DeFi, but we're just very, very early days, and we expect the whole gaming space or the games industry to join this party pretty soon, and then we expect that to some point in time to reverse that those consumer-driven markets or verticals, how we call them, they are probably going to eclipse what comes from decentralized finance. So far, in terms of what kind of activity we see in terms of amount of users and market value.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And Raullen, what's your take on the, I guess, Dapps in the IoT space? Like, because I know IoTeX, really large focus has been built adding not just IoT, but really a whole range of apps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the Dapps is definitely like an interface of people who's using crypto products, right? So it's proportional to how many users are using crypto product. So I think for now, still like we just see a start. Like a huge rooms. Think about how many people are using Google right now, how many people are using Facebook right now, how many people are using iPhone right now. So I think all those kind of users will eventually, at least like a big portion of this one, will be converted to crypto users. So that's how I see like the DApp space in the future. Yeah, definitely like there are many categories of DApps. NFT, which is very hot, GameFi, very hot, DeFi, not that hot, was hot before, so on and so forth. And definitely like a very big portion of this will be something we call machineFi, and that is like how we combine some IoT use cases, some real world data use cases together with the spirit of DeFi.
Absolutely, yeah. It's and then that's kind of goes into the next question. So, what do you see a role data will play in the world of Dapps? And Raullen, I know you're doing the Pebble is launching very soon. Maybe you start with that, and then Patrick, can kind of take from there.
Yeah, sure. So Pebble is a very specific example, right? But like I think like the whole picture is looking like this. So as we're saying, DeFi has been grown from almost 0 2 years ago to a $100 billion market right now in about 2 years. So crypto is eating the world. Traditional finance is slightly, is slowly actually, change to the DeFi in a way. So that's how it works. And IoT is perhaps like the biggest untapped sector for lots of crypto and blockchain use cases. And if you really think about how we transform IoT here today to something which called machineFi tomorrow, so there are like two concrete things like we can definitely like counting on. So the first one is like a real world intelligence, real world data that's use them to generate like a new crypto assets. So think about if we have sensors everywhere in a decentralized way, right? So we can have weather decks or like some traffic derivatives or even COVID-19, some indexes to track how people flows around the city everywhere. We can even like inject those real world intelligence into the metaverse. So that's why we can have some very engaging gaming, right? Because for example, you have a building in the metaverse, and like the sensors are always pumping data into this game. So this building in the metaverse will exactly have the same physical attributes as the physical building out there. So that's kind of one way to go. Another way is like you can do something very fun, like drive to earn, walk to earn, even live to earn, which is a universal basic income. Yeah, so much fun stuff. And category 2 is basically we want to utilize the machine everywhere to actually derive some public utility out of them. So everybody has a Raspberry Pi. Did you put it into use? Perhaps not, right? So if we have a financial way to incentivize people to put their Raspberry Pi into use, then that's a public utility that will be basically used by everyone, every apps out there. Yeah, so definitely like a very huge thing for IoTeX.
Yeah, man. And Patrick, what about you? What do you think?
No, I very much agree here. I'm going to take a different spin, but then come back to and underline what Raullen just said. So data in general, and I'm just going to start from blockchain data itself. We see about 1 million customers on DappRadar, which we send into decentralized applications every month. So this has really become a mass market business already. And we see our users being very interested in data, specifically in how many other users besides myself are using certain dApps, which are the decentralized applications dApps, which are trending, which are increasing in usage, which are going down, and how much money is flowing there. How much is being invested, how much is flowing in, how much is flowing out, because nobody wants to go into something that is decreasing rapidly. Nobody wants to start putting their money, their funds, assets into a decentralized application that is losing support. So that kind of data is very much requested, and that's why users come to us and find the data that we track. The other angle here is because wallets and user behavior is very transparent, so everybody can look into wallets, follow wallets, see what other wallets are doing. It's a very transparent industry that gives you. We're starting to see that wallets users who have certain patterns or certain value are becoming very interesting from a targeting perspective. If you launch a new DApp, if you launch a new blockchain game, you want to have those wallets in your DApp. You want to show that those, let's say, preferably whales, are coming to you, are investing in you, and therefore targeting those wallets becomes very interesting. And we're in the early days. This is really just the beginning. Where it becomes super interesting, it was Raullen just said, targeting is right now starting to happen just on how much value do you have in your wallet. If you hold certain NFTs, if somebody holds a CryptoPunk or a Bored Ape, that's a signal that's potentially a user you want to see in your decentralized application. That's just now. Let's think that through over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. All the data aspects that Ron just mentioned. What kind of machines is this user using? What habits can we track? That's very interesting for advertising. And the real beauty then comes from the fact that you can take your profile, you can switch your wallet on and off. You can also participate in these revenues which are generated from advertising.
Exactly.
So you can get a kickback by offering this this user data of yours. So yeah, Raul, you want to jump in right there?
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm just like your thinking basically gave me some inspiration about thinking this from innovation point of view, right? So for now, this innovation cycle is not efficient at all because the data is actually controlled by all those big companies. So they will not easily give out the data to developers who have lots of ideas how to use this data. So that's why like we didn't see too much innovation about how to trace it or maybe transform this real world data into something meaningful in the crypto space. But definitely, I think what we're working on and what we will show to the world, basically we will change this, right? So we will make this data to be democratic. Everybody have access to some sort of real world data, and lots of creators, builders, so they can come in to show their talents to the world to make it a better place, of course.
Oh yeah, and I think specifically health blocks, right? Like they're doing something similar right now where they can literally be, you can walk around and do activities and you collecting data with the IoTeX Pebble, and then you'll be able to potentially sell the data to health providers or insurance if you want to. It's your data, you own it, right? Right now, none of you, audience, own your data. If you're part of Facebook or part of something, you don't control it. Like they sell it for you and you get nothing. Right now, we're getting to a stage, a point where it's the next phase where you're potentially able to monetize it and democratize it and really own it. And this is a very unusual space. And for example, I know at IoTeX right now you're doing a hackathon in India, and over 900 developers are building on IoTeX like right now, like teams, 900 teams. And that's very exciting. So like, that those data, it's going to be a ripple effect. The more, teams are building, the more possibilities opens up for, all those uses for Dapps and IoT and smart devices. And I'm very excited that we are, so early in the beginning. And that leads us to the next question. What can Dapps do that traditional software applications cannot do? Patrick, please, if you can tell us about that, would be really great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's basically about ownership. It all starts with ownership. You either you own your data or you own assets that can be money, that can be cryptocurrencies, but that can also be collectibles, NFTs, and so forth. These can be in-game objects, in-game assets. So it starts with real ownership, which is not the case when you look at the traditional internet. If you look at traditional mobile games or traditional video games, even if you sink in thousands of dollars, 10,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a game, at the end of the day, if you stop playing, you don't own anything, which is very different in our space, because whatever you invest, at the end of the day, if you switch a game, if you stop interacting with a certain Dapp, you can always unload, you can always sell. So you have real ownership. That is massive. That's a real biggie. The second thing here is this composability. So what we see in Dapps is when one Dapp builds a certain layer, a certain function, a certain application, this can be integrated in another Dapp and in another Dapp. So this composability of different parts of Dapps is something we have seen evolving first last year through the DeFi, in the DeFi space. And now we are seeing that these DeFi blocks, these composable modules, these parts are being used in NFTs. We're starting to see them being used in games. So putting together ownership and composability in decentralized applications, that is pretty big, and it's going to make this space it's going to be huge.
So different piece puzzles. It's like each Dapp can connect with each other, right? So the idea is that you have this ability to interact, interoperability, so to speak. And so
imagine like a menu that you have to build 10 different features for your new piece of software, for your new application, and 8 of these features are already around. They have already been built, and you just plug and play, and then you just have to develop 2 of those, put it all together, and off you go. And it's all proven, it's all tested. This composability makes it a very powerful to be. And then you build your projects, and then what is on top when the user comes in, and you give the user ownership of an asset. Wow, that's powerful. You have just built an entire universe out of existing small components. The user comes in, he has ownership, he can buy and sell, he can develop value for these assets. So that's pretty big.
Fantastic. Roland, would you like to add anything on the?
No, I'm saying I'm pretty good here.
All
I like
right.
what Patrick just said.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so I think everybody's in agreement that the space is growing very rapidly, and it's very important that they all work together. And I guess both DappRadar allows you to track it and really see what's happening, and IoTeX and Raullen's team is really building those different parts that allow that interoperability.
Yes, it's you don't have to like each other. You don't have to work together. Just this interoperability, these modules. If you like somebody or not, doesn't care. They are just out there. You just plug and play. You put it together, and that's it. And that's the real beauty, that it just works.
No, that's great. I think that's what a lot of our viewers are, curious. What is applications through the real world? When and how we will see it. So the next question is kind of more about what do you think is the timeline here? So Raullen, maybe a little bit about your timeline, and what do you think where we are, where IoTeX will be, and its maybe grander vision in a way.
Yeah, I think if you look at the entire crypto industry, it's still very early right now. So I would think it will take another 3 to 5 years to really get to the massive adoption. So definitely not a lot of people knows about crypto, understands about crypto right now. But I do like I do like the vision. I think the Coinbase CEO, he said, each blockchain will like a new like a app store, right? So there will be different sort of apps that's kind of growing out of each of the blockchain. That's how the world works maybe 5 years from now. So that's exactly what I'm thinking too. So for IoTeX, so I think our next big chapter, I'm not sure if I should say this, is like IoTeX 2.0 and machineFi. Basically, as Patrick was mentioning, like a DeFi is kind of overflows to other areas like the art. So that's why we have NFT and sports NFT overflows to game. So that's why we have GameFi, right? So how about if it overflows to the machine world, to the device world? Then that's machineFi. That comes as a very natural term for us. Also very natural things like vision about what we do. So in terms of like the timeline, so definitely like we're getting there step by step. The step one was is to actually launch the Payable with the underlying infrastructure, which we call TrueStream. So this will be the protocol that sits on top of IoTeX, connecting with like millions machines at scale, and trying to understand what this machine is trying to say, and can do some compute on top of the data the machine is sending over, then feeding into the Dapps, saying, oh, so this machines observed, oh, this city has a some fire is ongoing, for example, right? Which tells like an insurance Dapp, maybe you should do something on the financial side. So that's kind of one example. Another example, which I sort of like mentioning up earlier, is a strive to earn, work to earn, live to earn, or X to earn type of app. For now, everybody is familiar with play to earn. It's just like a game, right? You just get into the game, doing the clicks, move your character here and there, so you earn some sort of token. So this paradigm can be exactly applied to driving, right? When you're driving a car, you are basically producing something that's very valuable to maybe a map, like an application. So that's why you can do this drive to earn. Walk to earn is the same, right? So you provide some sort of a POI, traffic data pattern, to some like a mapping company, to some like an urban planning company. So that's why you can also earn from just walking around. So those are the things that will actually launch after Payable. So perhaps before end of this year, and also maybe next year or very early next year. Then we're going to kind of scale up what we can do, use TrueStream and Payable. So even some more creative like a Dapps, you guys will be able to see.
Yeah, it's actually going to play to earn, right? People can actually try it out right now. So startcrazy.com just came out on Monday, and you literally can go and try it out and experience how it is. How easy transactions are, how cheap they are, like fraction of a penny, and it's all on blockchain. So I think right now it's 30,000 transactions per day. On that, you can see it on DappRadar. It is right there, and it's launched 2 days ago. It's already over 65,000 transactions, and it keeps growing. So
yeah,
it's really exciting.
I really like DappRadar basically to make this data and also like a growth pattern of IoTeX very visible, even to non-tech users, right? So I look at the charts, on DappRadar every day about how IoTeX goes, how IoTeX grows. Patrick, definitely love your product.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. Something here on what you just, you were talking about play to earn and walk to earn and do this to earn, do that to earn. Right now, we are, for some people, play to earn is a hard to understand concept. What we see is that, for example, in the Philippines and Vietnam, we see hundreds of thousands of users playing games to generate their daily income. That is the power of play to earn. We see the Filipino finance minister, chancellor, they're having to go out and remember his people to pay taxes on their earnings from play to earn. So that is the kind of magnitude that we have already reached there. And what we see is that users are already starting to compare how much money they can make in one game versus how much money they can make in other games. So we're starting to see the very early signs of competition of play to earn games against each other. I can make more money in this game, but actually I like to play that game, so I'm going to play a lot in that game for funding my gaming activities in the other. It's going to be funny and crazy. But then you know, when this kicks in with walk to earn and do this to earn, do that to earn, that's going to go to another magnitude. We might be smiling about that today, but that's going to become reality one day, and a pretty serious and big money reality. And you know, we from day one, we at DappRadar, we believed in a multi-chain world. So even though Ethereum has been the first protocol that we have been tracking, within the first 12 months, I think we have been tracking 3 or 4 other blockchains, other protocols, and we can clearly see that different protocols are becoming the layers for different types of activities. So what Raul said about, or what we expect here, IoTeX to become the layer for machineFi, makes a lot of sense. So if you can combine your, let's say, Ethereum wallet and what you have in there, your transactions, your assets, and so forth, which shows a certain user profile, which I can promise you will be used for targeting purposes very soon. If you can combine that with your profile on IoTeX in terms of the activities that you have with the Pebble, with other machines, that becomes very powerful. So putting that together, these profiles across different chains, that's the way to go. And that's also how a user one day will maximize their own returns. And you know, once they decide, I don't want to earn money through letting other people see what I consume, what I do, you just switch it off. That's the beauty. On today's traditional silos, the Facebooks and so forth, there isn't anything about switching on off. You have to leave the entire ecosystem if you don't want to be tracked anymore.
It's I personally think, and this is more about my view, that ultimately we'll be much more interconnected, and we'll control our data, and not just control our data, you know, like, oh, it's a cool slogan. Yeah. Hey, everybody, control your data. But actually you can do different things with that value, right? Going to be that the doctor or driving a car. And it's really adding in extra layers of information and control that gives you real ownership and ability to utilize the data. So like, meaning making money, right? Like you can actually make money, maybe like a passive side income or passive income when you're doing something. You're part of the study for active people of certain age. So that alone can potentially open up doors for a lot of people, and companies will pay you directly. And sometimes I'm sure they will prefer it. It's like, hey, often they spend a lot of money on those studies and research, right? Where there is clinical research, but what if they can give it to you directly? And I don't think we're that far off. We're getting to a point where technology is practically there. I know, like, in the case of IoTeX, anybody can build on it. Like literally anyone can, go out and build a Dapp right now. If you're a developer, go to IoTeX.io and check it out. Like you can build stuff. Same thing with, like you mentioned, Patrick, there's so many more projects now. And are you seeing the growth, the trajectory that it is increasing? What's your view on that?
So what's
trajectory from Dapps, like the projects and blockchain Dapps growth overall?
So I'll give you an example. If you look at today's games industry, the games industry today is 150, 160 billion US dollar industry. It's one of the largest out there in the world. When we started looking at games on the blockchain, we saw that games are usually measured in lifetime value, how much money you can make with each single user. And we saw lifetime values for blockchain games 10 times higher than traditional games.
Oh
10 times
wow!
higher. So that was of a different magnitude. So, but that's also very easy to understand. If you play a game and you own what you invest, if you throw $100 at a game and you buy something that at the end of the day you can sell because you really own it, and there's a chance that that value increases. I promise you, you're not going to invest $100, but you're going to invest $200, $300, perhaps even more, because all of a sudden, it's yours. So we are seeing this 10x magnitude. If you now that's a bit of a stretch, but if you see that over the next 10, 20 years, the games industry can easily become a $1 trillion industry over the next couple of days, just with the 10x. By growing 10x of what we see right now in the early blockchain gaming there. So what's your question was, what is the growth trajectory? Well, I don't know, but just looking at games, it looks very juicy, and we have not even touched what Raullen is doing, which will come in and contribute. That will be another growth driver, which I struggle to to size that, to put any numbers on that, but it looks very fascinating.
It's I'm curious actually more about like just overall field, like not dApps everywhere in the world. Do you see what is like 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21? What is the growth trajectory have seen from the size of the market? So I think not doesn't have to be exact number, but just your own feeling or some data that you have.
Yeah, look, the blockchain space is driven by waves and trends, and we go through waves. So 17 was that was the we saw those ICOs. In the early days of the Dapps, we saw the CryptoKitties and so forth. We saw the first games. We saw a bit of gambling in the space, which was similar on the internet in the early 90s. And then things went quiet for a while until last year. And then we saw a huge explosion last year in decentralized finance. And then this year it's all around NFTs, and we are now starting to see the first millions of users in blockchain gaming. So, in 2018, we had probably 10,000, couple of 10,000 of users, and that is now up to 1 million on a daily basis. So yeah, I would say in 2018 we had 10,000 active users, active wallets on a daily basis. Now we are seeing 1 million. That's a kind of magnitude, and I would be very surprised if we're not seeing at least 10 million next year on a daily basis.
Wow. So it's really stratospheric growth. Very, very rapid, sounds like.
I also think this is an unstopped trend, right? So like Patrick, you're mentioning, like game builders or maybe users, they earn 10x more compared to in a centralized kind of game environment. Why? Because blockchain basically reduces the middleman, right? It just kills the middleman, so returns the profit to the builders, to the users. I think the exactly same thing happens to the DeFi. So everybody knows how sucks like the banking system is right now, very slow and also very expensive. But DeFi definitely kills its banks like as a middleman. So it's transparent, fast, and also innovative. So I want to say is like a machineFi. They feel like we're applying the same type of like a practice or maybe a principle to the machine world. So for now, this IoT hardware developers, so they are squeezed by those middlemen. For example, that is Amazon.com, right? So they are not making too much money, and also as a user, so they are not getting the latest technology. So they cannot get the chip for its original price. So Amazon.com, for example, they will have a huge markup on top of the device itself. As we're doing UCAN, so we learned about this one. So how about we kill the middleman, right? So we return the profits to the user and to the developer. Then that's like a whole new world. I'm sure because of this, like more end game developers, they are coming to the crypto space, and more users from the traditional gaming world also coming to the crypto world. So I have no doubt this is an unstoppable trend. It will keep growing.
One little comment here. So, we often bash the banks, or we bash the middleman and so forth, and we love to do that. And I think to a certain extent it's justified. But if people who are sitting in banks and insurances and so forth, they hear this, sometimes they are scared. I actually think there's no reason to be scared, because what you see unfolding here is going to drive wealth unseen till today. So, if we're saying the games industry is probably going to grow over the next 10, 20 years by 10x, that means that potentially also 10 times the amount of people will be working in games. I'm a strong believer of that. That means, and I think the same for decentralized finance. So people who today are working in the bank, don't be scared. You're going to be fine. You'll find great new jobs in decentralized finance, and I truly mean that, because finance. There, we have 7 billion people, 8 billion people on this planet. Just a very small fraction of them are getting proper financial services. This space with DeFi and so forth is gonna, for the first time, enable everybody to get proper access to proper financial service. And that's going to need people, and people who have a basic understanding of banking, of the financial industries, will be highly needed. So don't be scared. You're going to be fine.
Excellent. Yeah, it's definitely something that people are afraid, it's going to be replaced, but that was not the case historically, right? The new technology brings new opportunities. Everyone thought once, they're going to be, typewriter is going to run out, the type is going to run out. Now everyone is a typist, all right? But things become a lot more efficient. And so next question, I want to go a little more, futuristic. So not too far, because I'm personally a realist. So I think we have to the previous question went into, we see already growth, but maybe a little bit more on what do you think will be a major, element for that growth? Is it going to be major corporations? Is it going to be DeFi projects? Do you see more global companies are interesting in, in that? So it's a kind of open question to everybody. It's anyone? No. Okay.
Raullen, do you want to go first, or should I shoot?
All right, Patrick, let's go with you. All right.
Okay, sure. Usually some, if you go first, you certainly learn a lot. You spearhead, you pioneer, and if you're lucky, you can be very successful. So not just by going first, that doesn't mean that you're going to be successful, but you're certainly gonna learn and collect experiences, which will then help you, at least in the second or third wave, to be very successful. So to go early has definitely its major advantages. If you look at the financial industry, we everybody outside the crypto space thinks that fintech is the big thing. And fintech is certainly revolutionizing finance, and it's bringing brick and mortar financial services to your phone. How exciting! Still, I think that's a big important step. Once these guys who are building brick and mortar banks on your mobile phone will open, because they are bringing financial services to the masses, which is important. Once they're going to be opening that up to crypto, then it's going to be really transformative. So you're going to have the pioneers who come bottom up, but then you'll also have banking industry, the fintechs, traditional gaming companies, service companies, which will be forced at some point to come top down and open up. So it's going to be a push from both sides. And still, I think those guys who will be opening up first, and you see, you see the PayPals and so forth jumping. You see the Robinhoods starting to jump to go there because they understand that they need to be fast. They are going to reap the rewards. Those who are dragging their heels, who are waiting, they might miss the boat and miss out on very important experiences and learning phases which are happening right now.
Excellent. Yeah. And Roland, maybe you share some thoughts with us as well.
Yeah, I think the trend is pretty clear. It will keep growing, right? Because crypto is slowly overflows to the traditional world. So think about crypto over to the game, crypto over to the social, right? So I'm sure everybody see like a Twitter has a new feature, like you can TP anybody on the twitter.com using Bitcoin, right? So that's kind of like a overflows to social, and also it overflows to IoT to machine. It overflows to even some I don't know, some maybe charity as well. So definitely like it's kind of this pattern keeps going and going. It's slowly eating the world. So that's why, like in the next few years, I expect to see lots of things people are talking about slowly become true. For example, you can collateralize your home to getting like a Bitcoin loan. I think this is actually happening right now. It's just not fully decentralized, so there's still some centralized element in the middle. But like the bin itself, that actually already works very well. And the DAO is another one. So DAO is how you organize the productivity or maybe some sort of resources in a very decentralized way using like a collective wisdom, right? So how would people, just or maybe machine or maybe algorithm or maybe applications, they can put together their utility and make like the best use of this utility and monetize this utility. I think there is also a big, very, very big chance over there. Yeah, but definitely like the trend is very clear, so we will be keep growing.
It's so I think the consensus in the space is rapidly evolving, and this technology is necessary. Blockchain allows you to do a lot better trackability, control of your data, control of different parts of things that are right now very hard to track. So to give you an example, back in blockchain driven, we worked with a lot of larger companies, and oftentimes they would have like ERP. There would be 7 layers of interaction, like multi-billion-dollar companies, and so much information got lost at every step. And so blockchain could allow to control at every layer what the next step sees. So rather than getting lost, all those billions, maybe I don't know, hundreds of billions in logistical costs and losses and efficiencies could be solved. So we're definitely seeing large companies looking at it. It's just hard to jump, right? Because you don't want to change the whole infrastructure. So ultimately, infrastructure will creep on them until they don't have until they see others doing, and they don't have a choice. Because if they stall too long, they can fall behind, right? So that's always a concern for a company.
I actually think like big companies, they are very hard to change, right? So in fact, because they're already too successful and too big. So think about IBM. They started as making servers, and of course they tried to switch to other stuffs, but they never succeeded because they are so devoted to like making servers. Yeah. So, but definitely like we will see like a new startups, new projects, new companies kind of grown to become like a new giant in the new world.
All right. So we're gonna keep it short and sweet, everyone. So we right now I'm gonna have kind of the last words for both. Roland and Patrick, and maybe your what do you see where your company doing, kind of your vision, and maybe how people can get involved, not necessarily just in your company, but in just blockchain space itself. Patrick, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we're devoted to be the place where everybody can track what's happening in decentralized applications, and that means that all the dApps that are running on IoTeX that Raullen is working on are being tracked on DappRadar, so that users can see what's the uptake, how many other people are using these, which are the growing ones, how much money is flowing into that. So we want to be the place that tracks this and gives this information to users on one side. On the other side, we we have built a feature which is the portfolio tracker, which allows everybody to monitor their own holdings, their own assets, what they have in their wallets across different chains. But then also to look into, to follow other people's wallets, to see what others do with their assets, with their money, to follow that, because it's a wonderful place to learn. If you watch what other people do with their money, that's usually very insightful. So that's our, that's what we do at DappRadar. Access to information and allowing you to keep control, manage your assets, what you own. That's our endeavor. That's the space we're in.
Fantastic, yeah. And Raullen, maybe your remarks.
Yeah. So definitely like two big initiatives keeps me and the team very busy. So one is ecosystem growth. So we are onboarding new projects, new developers, even new full-time employees, right? So if you have interest into this one, definitely give us a shout, and we'd love to chat with you guys. So the second initiative keeps us busy is IoTeX 2.0. There are not too many details has been publicized right now, but this will be like a very big stuff for IoTeX, moving on. So yeah, so I think we're very good. Everything is just getting started. Definitely, like I have huge confidence into what we can achieve in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Well, thank you for coming in. It's like I said, I will keep it short and sweet. So everybody, please, if you have any questions in future, send it our way. We will be answering them, in the upcoming panels and such. Patrick would love to have you again, maybe on a future panel, kind of see where it is in a couple of months potentially, how DappRadar is evolving and growing. So it'll be amazing. And thanks everybody. Thanks for coming. And we're in the very beginning of this giant wave of change, and you're very early. So super happy to have you. And hopefully you enjoyed the session. And please stay tuned. We have many more coming in very soon. So yeah.
Thanks for moderating, Art. Great job. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.